carpenters to fit broken down doors and windows. Mr. Speaker, it has become so terrible that many headmasters are refusing to even go to the schools because they are being pursued.
Stay tuned as we bring you details of all that and more on the Citi Prime News, which is also live across the country on our partner stations. In the Western region, we are live on Premier 100.5 FM and Beach 105.5 FM, all in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyai. In the Ashanti region, we are live on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Eastern region, we are on Right 90.1 FM in Somanya. In the Volta region, we are listening to us on Holy 98.5 FM in Aflao. In the Northern region, this is Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In the Upper East, we are live on Word 88.3 FM in Zuarungu. And in the Upper West region, we are on Bogli Radio 88.6 FM in Wa.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful for your time this afternoon. We'll settle for the details of our story. We'll go to the Kumasi metropolis, where heavy police deployment is said to be within the premises of the KMA to prevent a possible invasion of tricycle operators. We are joined over the phone lines by our Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani to give us details of this. Good afternoon, Hafiz. Many thanks for your time. Describe to us the scenery there.
Well, currently there's a heavy police deployment and there's also a military contingent on standby to help the police if there's any possible invasion by these tricycle operators. And what we are seeing now at the premises of the KMA is that tricycle operators who still have their tricycle impounded yesterday during an enforcement exercise of the directive to restrict their movement within the central business district and parts of the metropolis are here trying to get the assembly to release these tricycles to them. But going around to parts of the central business district, you still find these tricycle operators moving and plying their normal activities, but not in their numbers as we saw yesterday. Yesterday, we had many of these tricycle operators plying their trade within the central business district, and these areas the assembly marked out for them not to move to. But an enforcement team is also on the beat. They are going around trying to enforce this, but the tricycle operators, some of them are still resisting this directive. And yesterday we were told that when most of them came to town, the tricycle operators, they were told by the enforcement team to leave some of these areas, and some of them complied and moved out to other parts of the metropolis, but others didn't want to comply with the directive. So 46 tricycles were picked up by the enforcement team and brought to the premises of the KMA. And later in the day, the tricycle operators masked up and stormed the premises of the assembly to forcefully get the tricycles that were impounded. So they succeeded in taking away 3 of the tricycles during the confusion with the KMA city guards and police officers who were called in to maintain order, and 43 currently are packed here at the premises of the KMA. And I have seen some of the tricycle operators here trying to get the KMA officials release the tricycles to them.
Yesterday we heard about the clash between the police and the tricycle operators. Give us a bit of detail on that.
Well, so yesterday, according to the KMA, when they arrested some 15 people who came there, about 6 of them said that they didn't have tricycles impounded. Their tricycles were not part, or they were not even tricycle operators. They were called by their friends whose tricycles were impounded to come and help them get the tricycles out. that was why they came. But the assembly is now pushing for the police to prosecute these persons because they say if any prosecution is not done, people will continue to take the laws into their hands and do whatever they want. So that is what the assembly is pushing for. But these 43 tricycles are still parked at the premises of the KMA. And the KMA is saying that it's going to follow laid down procedures to ensure that these tricycles are released to the owners who did not follow or comply with the directive. So that is where we are now. But these persons who have been arrested, we are told, are still in the custody of the police.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was our Ashanti Regional Correspondent, Hafiz Tijani. We, however, have the voice of the Public Relations Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Henrietta Efia Kunedu. Let's listen to what she's been saying.
From the 12 that was arrested yesterday, about 5 or 6 of them are not riders. So we asked why they were part of the mob, and they said that they were called to come and fight at KMA. So they also hit to the call that they received and joined the mob to come to KMA to cause that nuisance. And for them, they were coming to pick their tricycle. So that's why they joined the mob to come and take them from KMA and go. So as I speak, they are with the police, and then we told the police that we want the case to go to court so that the law court determines the outcome of the situation. So as we speak, what we have in our custody so far is 43 tricycles. It was 46, and then they forcefully took 3 away. So we have 43 as of now. As at yesterday when we went to the CBD, those that came there and were told to leave, they left. So any vehicle or any tricycle that was impounded was as a result of recalcitrance or trying to struggle with the enforcement team. That is how come that the tricycles were impounded. And so today, the police doubled the men they gave to us yesterday. And so we've also stationed them across the various points that they are not supposed to go beyond. Some of the officers have also stayed behind so that if any mob or any other group is coming, they will be able to help us curtail them at bay from a distance.
You heard the Public Relations Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Henrietta Efia Kunedu.
Let's stay there in Kumasi. Members of the Health Services Workers Union at Kumasi South Hospital are protesting the assignment of a former Chief Executive Officer of Komfanochi Teaching Hospital to their facility. A letter from the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, has announced the posting of Dr. Ohineba Owusu-Danso as a consultant in plastic, reconstructive and hand surgery at Kumasi South Hospital for a 2-year period. Even though the official communication has not been received by the hospital's management, some workers are expressing concerns about the appointment. Vice Chairman of the Health Services Workers Union, Joshua Lawrence Ni Adu-Ade, has stated that they will oppose the appointment.
We heard the news and then we saw it on social media about Dr. who they are bringing him to Kumasi South Hospital. And apparently, what we are hearing, if that is what the case is, then I think that we are not ready for him because he's a plastic surgeon. What is he coming to do here? Wherever you are going, there are people who are capable of handling issues here. And in Kumasi South Hospital, we have musculofacial people here. They are capable of handling issues. And then we are not saying that we are preventing the government of increasing us or adding up to us. But this man, for God's sake, is even 65 years. And they bring him in here. What is he coming to do? That is the question I'm asking you. What is he coming to do? If he's coming to help us here, yes, we are okay. We are okay with him coming to help us here. But what he's coming to do here, we don't have it here. You are inviting somebody to your house to come and help you in your house. And the house help you want, your wife is saying that I'm not ready for the house help. And you are still insisting that you want to bring the house help to your house. Obeying. I acknowledge him for what he has done and where he has gone to and the things that he's able to do. But what I'm saying is that where he is coming to, we are not complaining. We are saying that the arena or the space at which he carries, we don't have it here. We have musculofacial people, when they come with difficult cuts and they come here, we are able to service them, we're able to give them ample treatment. And patients come here and they don't complain.
That was the Vice Chairman of the Health Services Workers Union at the Kumasi South Hospital, Joshua Lawrence Ni Adu-Ade.
Now, the Ministry of Education has initiated an investigation into allegations of financial misconduct by the head teacher of Buduata DA Junior High School in the Central Region. The head teacher is accused of collecting registration fees from 2 students for the ongoing BEC, but failed to remit the funds, causing the students to miss the exams. Speaking on the issue, the ministry's public relations officer, Kwesi Kwating, urged parents not to pay examination fees to head teachers, as the government is covering those costs for final year students in public junior high schools.
It has come to the attention of the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service the allegations of the headmaster having squandered some registration fees, which was supposed to register some students within the public junior high schools to be able to be eligible to write the BEC. It is important to clarify that unlike the private schools, students who are enrolled in the public junior high schools and even at the SHS level are not required to pay a dime when it comes to their registrations for the BEC or WASC. This is because as part of the free SHS package and of course the free basic education package, the Ghanaian government in this commitment have apparently taken the cost, the entire cost for the registration of the BEC and the entire education cost. So it comes out very strange to hear that such allegations have been leveled in some schools. Of course, the Ghana Education Service will and indeed is investigating this matter. But for the records, in terms of public schools, the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service do not require any payment of money for registration or whatsoever.
You heard the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwating.
Now, the minority in Parliament has expressed concern over the deteriorating state of public basic schools nationwide, attributing it to the government's non-release of capitation grants to these schools for the last 2 years. The caucus has reported that the situation has compelled head teachers of basic schools to seek loans to manage school operations. The deputy ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Apak, urged government to immediately release the monies to save the situation.
What corner have we turned? Just look at capitation grant. The capitation grant is the fee that government remits to keep our public basic schools free. As we speak today, the most dreaded job is to become the head teacher of a public basic school. Mr. Speaker, for the simple reason that for the past 7 terms, the equivalent of 2 years, this government has failed to remit even 1 pesewa to public basic schools. Headmasters have had to take, head teachers have had to take loans to procure chalk, to procure attendance registers, to get carpenters to fix broken down doors and windows. Mr. Speaker, it has become so terrible that many headmasters are refusing to even go to the schools because they are being pursued. Others have gone on to credit these services because they cannot pay. Mr. Speaker, these days, our public basic schools, our students don't engage in culture and sports activities. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, challenges are dire. The future of this nation is bleak. Mr. Speaker, hitherto, it was the case that students in our public basic school system were given free school uniforms, free sandals, free exercise books. When was the last time anyone here heard that students were being given these items free of charge? And yet you say you are doing well, you want to break the 8. On what account?
You heard the deputy ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Apak.
We'll stay a little while longer in Parliament because the majority caucus has defended the implementation of taxes on sanitary pads by the government, despite criticism from the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who expressed disappointment over the government's failure to remove taxes on sanitary pads in the mid-year budget review. The Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Aplenyo Marking, has stated that the discussions about the removal of these taxes have been misunderstood.
The second point has to do with the matters raised against the minister on taxes on sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, the matters that were raised were misconstrued, misrepresented the facts because those who raised them misconstrued the exact thing that is happening in that area of taxation. Mr. Speaker, let me put the fact out. For the record, there are only 2 companies that are manufacturing sanitary pads in the country: Fay Industries and Sunda Enterprise. The rest are being imported. Mr. Speaker, these 2 companies have demonstrated the expected consumption of 500 million pieces in the economy by way of demand. They have the capacity. Therefore, what government has done has been to impose taxation on importation.
You heard the Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Apenyo, marking.
Now, the leadership of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CITAG, is requesting the National Labour Commission to postpone a scheduled meeting for tomorrow to the following week. CITAG has been on strike since August 1 following government failure to implement agreed terms of their conditions of service. In an interview with Citi News, the president of CITAG, Prince Obinghima, mentioned that the group would be prepared for negotiations in the upcoming week.
The NLC has invited us for the second time, and upon sober reflection and upon the advice of our council, we've decided to, as it were, appear. But as we speak now, all the national officers are involved in activities within the zones. So my good self talking to you, I'm in the northern zone, taking care of some activities within the 3 northern regions. The practicality of having to converge and come to Accra for a meeting tomorrow isn't just there. So respectfully, we've written to the National Labour Commission this morning asking for a new date. You know, it remains within our legal right. So we've asked for a convenient date of Tuesday next week, when we'll be able to appear before the commission, having adequately prepared, having adequately consulted our legal team and labor team and all of that. We're going into the meeting. We don't want to go with any preconceived mind, but we don't want to be consistent with our position from day one. The NLC has a responsibility towards enforcing the compliance of its own orders.
Prince Obinghima is the president of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CITAG.
Now, the national president of the NAPCO Trainees Association of Ghana, Dennis Opoku Katechie, has expressed frustration over the government's failure to pay their 8 months' worth of unpaid allowances, despite their efforts, which included reaching out to various high-ranking officials and institutions, such as the Speaker of Parliament, the Vice President, and Asantehene Otumfuo Tutu II. They have not received a favorable response. Speaking to Citi News, Dennis Opoku Katechie stated that they might consider organizing another protest if the government continues to ignore their demands.
It's very, very unfortunate now that we are all aware that this laudable initiative, nation builders called NAPCO, has been cancelled by the current government, of course, with reasons best known to the government and other officials. Of course, we did not want it that way. Before the cancellation of this program, we have 9 to 10 months arrears unpaid. I mean, as a national president for NAPCO Trainees Association of Ghana, I still receive calls from NAPCO trainees nationwide. I mean, they telling me how life has become unbearable for them. Some of them, I mean, are parents. They can't afford to pay their kids' school fees. Others cannot afford to have their 3 square meals. Of course, me personally, as a national president, I'm equally not paid. And of course, I am unemployed as I speak to you now. And we have majority of NAPCO trainees, about 50% of us, who are also in the same problem. But I'm trying as much as possible to come out with another press statement and press conference, and if possible, with another picketing. This is just a wake-up call for this government to come to our aid and pay our arrears.
You heard the national president of the NAPCO Trainees Association of Ghana, Dennis Opoku Katechie.
Now, ranking member on the Defense Committee of Parliament, James Agalga, has emphasized the importance of government seeking parliamentary approval before committing troops to an ECOWAS force for a possible invasion of Niger. As ECOWAS contemplates a response to the coup in Niger, the Defense Committee of Parliament has urged the government to present the matter to Parliament for discussion. The deadline set by ECOWAS for the military junta to hand over power and release the ousted leader has passed. James Agalga asserts that any commitment of troops as part of an ECOWAS force must first receive parliamentary approval.
We can insist that certain things are done in accordance with our practice and procedures. Now, if Ghana has to deploy boots in Niger, we would expect that parliamentary approval is sought. That the matter is tabled before Parliament, it is thoroughly debated, and then if Parliament clears our government to deploy troops, it can then go ahead and deploy. Anything short of that would be illegal and would have very serious issues.
Ranking member on the Defense Committee of Parliament, James Agalga.
You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still ahead in the bulletin, official vehicle of the Savannah Regional Director of Fisheries Commission snatched at gunpoint in Tamale. We'll bring you details of the story shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Ajwapa, what's all this condom business? Oh, I've told her over and over again that she won't get pregnant, and she's still insisting. Oh, isn't she the same person who said we would not have sex till we go out for at least 2 years? For all this time? Oh, and she still can't trust me enough? Ama, when I try to do something small, no, condom this, condom that. So handsome man like me, she probably thinks I have HIV.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner. Condoms are effective for protection against a wide spectrum of STIs and HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, innovation, and mastery of made in Ghana products and services with the This is Ghana Exhibition 2023. Citi TV and Citi FM will allow you to immerse yourself in a vibrant showcase of authentic Ghanaian products and services in the biggest trade fair and exhibition for local SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing industries, homegrown businesses, and indigenous corporate bodies Ghana has ever seen. We shall promote, support, and patronize various Ghanaian products, solutions, and services that are redefining the views on indigenous products and their packaging across all sectors. Join us at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly on the 26th and the 27th of August 2023 at 10 a.m. through till 5 p.m. each day. Call us now on 0205-973-973 for inquiries on how to participate. The This is Ghana exhibition is powered by Citi TV and Citi FM and proudly sponsored by MTN Momo, Nalo Solutions, and Pan-African Savings and Loans. Citi TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117, and on HD+, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV. Citi TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD+ boxes. Citi TV, it's your world.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Many thanks for staying with us and you're welcome back. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has introduced the Spot Utility Billing System, SUBS, for customer billing. After a successful pilot in the Dome Enclave, this system has been implemented nationwide. It enables the immediate generation of bills for customers either in print format, via mobile text or email. The SUBS, developed by Ghanaian company Polymoth Labs Ghana Limited, aims to address anomalies in ECG's billing system promptly and facilitate investigations when needed. The engineering manager of Polymoth Labs Ghana Limited, Michael Agbotete Soli, explained that this system drastically reduced billing time from the typical 30-day cycle to 3 minutes, allowing customers to better understand their power consumption.
What happens is that because we are issuing spot bills now, we have reduced the time from a minimum of 30 days to just 2 minutes. You have access to the customer, and you might want the customer to make some payments on the bill that has been generated, and the customer would tell you, okay, I'm not having enough funds now, but follow up with me a week from now or 3 days from now. The system allows you to capture that follow-up request so that you have a database of reminders. Then when it is time, it will alert you, and then you can send your people to the field to go and chase up the funds. So it will help with revenue mobilization and also having some sort of calendar that you can use to chase up customers who are owing the company. So currently we've done a lot of tests. There aren't any loopholes, but like you said, with every system we have to continue testing to find out where there could be shortcomings. And this was built on the back of understanding how utility billing systems work. So we have taken all standard measures that is required to make sure that the system is as secure and robust as possible.
You heard the engineering manager of Polymoth Labs Ghana Limited, Michael Agbotete Soli. Now, one customer who experienced the new spot billing system shared his excitement with Citi News.
First, you wouldn't see the amount left, but now you can see the amount left and you can do your calculations very well. The bill will even take about 2 months for you to reflect. And so for you doing your calculation, you wouldn't get an accurate amount left. But now, I think everything will go on smoothly.
So this system is much better?
Oh, far better. Far better. Far better. Far better. And we are hoping it will continue like this.
That was an ECG customer sharing his experience with the new spot billing system.
Now, Domahene Osadieyo Ajman Bedu II says he is undeterred by the various criticism and backlash he has faced after openly expressing his concerns about the government. The traditional leader asserts that he will continue to voice his opinions until necessary actions are taken. Speaking to the residents of Drobo in the German South municipality of the Bono region, Osadieyo Ajman-Bedu reaffirmed his dedication to criticizing the government to ensure the well-being of Ghanaians through the implementation of effective measures.
I will persist in speaking out until this disparity is rectified. I will continue to voice my concerns. It is imperative that Ghanaians reap the rewards of these resources for the betterment of their lives. If change does not transpire, I, Ajman-Bedu II, will persist in speaking out until we witness transformation. We explore gold at Adanse, Takwa, Pristia and Ochehenes town, and even now at the northern part of the country, but we only get 7% of the proceeds from these explorations, and the remaining 93% is taken away.
That was Domahene Osadieyo Ajman-Bedu II.
87% of road contracts awarded by Cocoa Board under Phase 2 of the Cocoa Road Improvement Program were awarded through single sourcing, which led to higher costs compared to contracts awarded through competitive tendering. This was contained in the Auditor General's report on the construction of Cocoa Roads. The following News Desk report has more.
The transportation of cocoa beans from farms to buying areas has been long hindered by poor road infrastructure. To help address this problem, the government in 2015 launched the Cocoa Road Improvement Program (CRIP). The program was intended to improve 2,923 kilometers of cocoa roads, with Cocoa Board charged with the responsibility of implementation and financing of the program. Cocoa Board, under the CRIP program, awarded contracts to improve 7,054 kilometers of roads between 2015 and 2020 at a sum of 18.2 billion cedis. In the Auditor General's assessment, Cocoa Board did not prioritize the road projects to match the available funds. As a result, Cocoa Board implemented more road projects than the budget for the CRIP project could support. In the first phase of the project, for example, Cocoa Board awarded 234 contracts valued at 5.2 billion cedis, which was more than the 1.60 billion cedis it budgeted for, while awarding 266 contracts valued at 13 billion cedis, which was also more than the 1.31 billion cedis budgeted for in Phase 2 of the CRIP program. According to the Auditor General, the failure by Cocoa Board to prioritize the projects and the shortfall in funds resulted in a delay in making payments, and that prevented contractors to complete the projects. The Auditor General's report also reveals that 87% of projects in Phase 2 of the CRIP project were awarded through single-source procurement and restricted tendering, which resulted in higher costs compared to those awarded through competitive tendering. The Auditor General has recommended that going forward, to ensure the sustainability of the Cocoa Road Improvement Program, Cocoa Board must prioritize the road projects and seek expert advice of procurement options to ensure value for money.
The report was filed by Citi News' Charles Ozukumi.
Now, over 80 beneficiaries of the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty (LEAP) program in the Bolgatanga municipality of the Upper East region have not received their grants for the past 2 years. According to some of the affected beneficiaries, although they have reported the delay in payment to the authorities, the challenges have not been addressed. The beneficiaries say that due to the delay, they are unable to meet their basic household needs. The grant was recently increased by 100% due to Ghana's challenging economic situation.
Now, the official vehicle of the Savannah Regional Director of Fisheries Commission has been snatched at gunpoint in Tamale. The incident occurred last night in front of his residence in Baywater, a suburb of the Northern Regional Capital. As he arrived home, two armed robbers confronted him, brandished firearms and swiftly seized his Toyota Hilux double cabin pickup before fleeing the scene. The Tamale police have begun a search for the suspects. Unfortunately, such occurrences have been increasingly frequent in the Tamale metropolis. Notably, in July 2019, a Toyota Hilux pickup assigned to the then Savannah Regional Minister Salifu Adam Brima was also stolen in a similar manner.
Let's now do some politics. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, is set to conduct its parliamentary elections in the Amasaman constituency on Saturday, August 12, 2023. Initially excluded from the NDC's nationwide parliamentary primaries held on May 13 due to internal conflict, the constituency will now witness elections following resolutions reached after numerous discussions. With endorsement of the National Executive Committee, 9 contenders are vying for the constituency seat. The Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the party, Theophilus Tetechai, assured that preparations are in full swing in collaboration with the Electoral Commission and the police for a smooth process on Saturday.
Our Functional Executive Committee has given the green light for elections to be held for Amasaman, that's the constituency elections. You know, they were one of the constituencies that were outstanding in terms of constituency elections. So it has been cleared, and for Amasaman, the elections will take place this coming Saturday at the Amasaman Park. Election begins at 7 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m. So we've met with the various aspirants, we've met with the election committee, and everything is ready with the EC and the security services to ensure that there is law and order during the elections.
The NDC has also revealed that the remaining two constituencies in the Greater Accra region, Ayawaso West Wuogon and Odododiodio, will hold their primaries in September.
So for Greater Accra, we are now left with two, that's Ayawaso West Wuogon and then Odododiodio. And we've been told that that one too, within September, those elections will also be completed.
Theophilus Tetechai is the Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the National Democratic Congress.
Now, the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musiga, has put on hold its elections slated for today following an interlocutory injunction placed on the process by an Accra High Court. The legal action was initiated by two members of the union, Do Kwabla Seyenam Nyamade and Frederick Van Dyke, who want some concerns addressed. The plaintiffs allege that Musiga and the former president of the association, Bias Osei-Kuffour, known as Obuo, neglected their obligation to provide comprehensive financial accounts, which is a crucial requirement under the union's governing document. Reacting to the matter, acting president of Musiga, Bessa Simons, contends the grievances could have been settled internally.
Yeah, it is because of the injunction. Some two members put on the elections served the Electoral Commission. So, the Electoral Commission, when they get anything like that, it cannot work. So that is why we will have to wait for the injunction to take its first process. Once that goes, then we will know whether we can straight away go back into the election, because we've done everything is set. We were ready, like today, we are, nearing the end of the election. But, you never know what other people are.
You had the acting president of the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musiga, Bessa Simons. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra with me, Wilma Obubisa Coleman and Charles Owusu-Kumu. Still ahead in the bulletin, the Information Ministry is urging public to desist from attacks on journalists. We'll bring you details of this and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
1xBet Jackpot is here with weekly massive prizes up for grabs. All you have to do is place your bets on any sports game and stand a chance to win. Simply register at 1xbet.com.gh. Use promo code JackpotGhana and place your bets. 1xBet is your key to great victories. Feel like a winner. 1xBet.
Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Yeah, welcome back. Now, calls for public boarding schools to be scrapped in Ghana have resurfaced. This has generated heated debate as proponents argue boarding schools have outlived their usefulness in the face of financial handicaps and attendant breakdown in law and order. This report examines various arguments for and against the motion.
What has happened over time is that boarding school as the main vehicle of training children, when especially today we have free SHS and every child is supposed to go to school by our constitution. Education becomes universal. You have to deboardinize all the secondary schools and make it local. Once you reach a certain level, and especially where we are, boarding school as a public means of education is a no-no. I tell you that at this moment, people in boarding schools are likely to pick more antisocial things.
Strong arguments from the respected education administrator, Professor Stephen Ade, a man credited for transforming the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GEMPA. He minces no words in his call for public boarding schools to be scrapped. In this report, I ran his arguments by the public and some seasoned resource persons in the education sector for feedback. First, a section of the public.
With my boarding experience, it was very, very good. The house mistress, they were quite strict, so we are not misbehaving, and the food, they bought food because we are paying the fees. But I have a sister who is in boarding school because of FHS. She always complains there's no food. They always take one-way food. But when I was in boarding school, there was variety. Sometimes we eat rice, banku, different. But because of the FHS, I think they are not able to provide them enough food.
For me, I'm for boarding school. Yes, there are issues of manhandling of students by seniors, bullying of students. Mostly in our time, it was happening. But the essence of it that we are seeing today, that's where the worry is.
Now, let's speak to the president of the Old Students Association of Achimota School, who happens to be a former vice-chancellor of the University of Ghana and currently the Secretary General of African Research Universities Alliance, Professor Ernest Aite.
I am a very strong believer in the boarding school system. We didn't go to boarding schools only to go and learn mathematics and English and history or biology. No. We learned at boarding schools how to socialize. We learned how to live with our peers. We learned how to obey rules and how to live in an environment completely different from ours and be able to acquire new skills and so on, especially social skills. So I'm fully aware of the challenges with the boarding school system that we have in Ghana today. I'm fully aware of all of that. Even though we have these problems, I think they are still relevant. If the system is not working, it is for us to sit back and say, what is making the system not work? It is not simply boarding schools are no longer relevant. They are very, very relevant. They can be put to very good use, as they did in the past. We can make them deliver the kind of education that we want. It is for us to restructure. It is for us to realign them to today's needs.
On the civil society level, Kofi Asare has been watching the education sector as Executive Secretary of the African Education Watch. He shares his views about the issue.
To an extent, if you look critically at why we take our children to boarding houses, mainly to learn discipline, and how to socialize and all that. I think that to a large extent, our children go to senior high schools within the boarding system, and then they come home with rather, in many instances, terrible attitudes that they didn't even have when they were leaving, their homes. And so one wonders whether the senior high school is still within the boarding school concept, a playground for learning discipline. Is it really instilling discipline our children? I don't think so. Economic cost of running boarding schools, so far as I'm concerned, is for me the biggest justification for its irrelevance.
Anis Hafa is a respected educationist who has taught in the US for more than 10 years and for the last 3 decades dedicated his life to improving education outcomes in Ghana. He owes the values he exudes in his professional life to boarding school, but is worried the current state won't deliver same quality.
I had the privilege of attending a Fanspim school in the 1960s. I was there in 1961. And of course, at that time, the population of Ghana was about 6-7 million. And we had 10 houses, and there were 600 students. So we were quite comfortable. For example, the house I was in and the court I was in had only 10 students. So we knew each other. And then we had house masters who were very close to us. In fact, you could walk to their homes and they could walk to the dormitories at any point in time. So the boarding experience at that time was fantastic because, like many other students who came at that time, we were not regulated at home. You go to bed when you want to, you study when you want to, even if you study at all. And then there's no telling what circumstances will pervade through our day. But I learned structure from secondary school at Infanspem, and I'm eternally grateful for it.
What's the way forward? First, Kofi Asare.
Parental responsibility must be taken by parents as much as practicable. I don't see this whole culture of everybody must go to boarding school. No. I mean, it should be an exception, not a norm, as we have now. And so I will call for, that discussion. Of course, but Professor Dyer's issue must also be looked at, discipline and board education.
For Professor Aite, the Ghana Education Service needs to empower school boards again.
My worry has been the fact that those who are better positioned to deal with it at our schools have been restrained by the rules and the practices of the Ghana Education Service. What happened in Adisado College, for example, is something that should have been dealt with immediately by the school board, not the GES. I know that the school management took steps to sanction those who were involved. The school board should have handled the entire matter. Today we have school boards that are quite powerless. They cannot discipline teachers, they cannot discipline students without approval by a higher authority. And that is where the problem is.
More schools need to be built. In addition, Anis Hafa demands a shift in the qualification and recruitment of school managers.
Typically, throughout our history, a person becomes very good teaching English language or chemistry or mathematics, and they evolve through the system and they become managers. But they're really not managers, though. They are just good at the discipline that they teach. If you have the three key principal assistants, like for instruction, for management, for housing and dining and so on, the head's role should be different. In the sense that, for example, fundraising is very, very important. How do you get involved in a community where you can even tap into the corporate social responsibilities of particular organizations? How can they help?
Old student of Winneba Senior High School, Ekuya Gabra, simply wants the Akufo-Addo-led government to listen to voices of reason and let parents who can afford to cater for the awards in schools do so.
But since it's free SHS and they are not able to pay for the food, there's shortage of food and the children are complaining, the students are complaining that there's no food. And so I think the parents should pay the fees and Nana should cancel the free SHS.
The ball is in the court of the government. Will it listen and revise where necessary? Efforts to reach the Ghana Education Service for comment have not yet been successful.
Citi News' Caleb Kuda filed that report.
Now, the Deputy Minister of Information, Fatima Abubakar, is urging the public to desist from attacking journalists and rather find other ways of addressing concerns about media practice. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of a forum to mark the first anniversary of the current Ghana Journalists Association administration, Fatima Abubakar said more education was needed to be done to curb attacks on journalists.
This is not the first time we've had to reflect on this actual conversation. But if you look at even the rankings that were brought out by the Reporters Without Borders, our worst performance was not in safety. It had to do with the economic conditions of journalists. That being said, I look at safety of journalists as a collective responsibility which all members of the Ghanaian society must be educated on. The issue is that when you look at the data of infringement that maybe Media Foundation of West Africa and other stakeholders came up with, you can see that they vary from traditional communities to churches to on the football field, among others. So if we want to EV security agencies, among others, so if we don't sensitize the general public and look at safety of journalists as more or less like a political problem, we may not get anywhere close to resolving the problem.
You heard the Deputy Minister of Information, Fatima Abubakar. Meanwhile, the Ghana Journalists Association says it is collaborating with various stakeholders to combat attacks on press freedom. President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jumfo, was speaking on the theme Current Threats in Ghana's Media Landscape.
There is a movement of reflection by African media stakeholders on the revolving That is peace, freedom of expression, and freedom of the media viability and sustainability, as well as the safety and security of journalists. We hope to take advantage of the event to showcase the best of Ghana's media in order and balance. Madam Chair, there is more to be done, and we are poised for the task. We are working hard at increasing our membership while exploring more professional training opportunities for members. We are collaborating with the Private Newspaper Publishers Association of Ghana, Ghana Independent Broadcasting Association, and Media Foundation for West Africa in the fight against attacks on press freedom. Madam Chair, the challenges are many, but with your support, we are resolved to overcome them. Our desire to cut your support to address some of our challenges underlines the purpose for organizing this forum on the theme current trends in Ghana's media landscape.
Albert Kwabena Jumfor is the president of the Ghana Journalists Association.
The rotational nurses and midwives say they will be compelled to hit the streets if government fails to pay the outstanding allowances by the end of the month. The association says government has not begun payment since the last 2 months of the release of funds after submitting about 75% of its documentation to facilitate the payment. In an interview with Citi News, the president of the Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association, Jasper Joka, appealed to government to hasten the process for the payment of the allowances to avoid their intended action.
If the promise or the clearance that has been released by the ministry, the government still fails to pay us, then it means that we would have to advise our members or our colleagues who are still at post to lay down their tools, our juniors who are at post to lay down their tools, and then we are done, we might also be forced to hit the streets. And then I am sure that if our colleagues who are halfway through lay down their tools, they would also be convinced enough to join us because we are all in this together. We have juniors who are over 12,000 across the country who have begun their rotation in July 2023. And if we let them lay down their tools, it means that they are all joining us on the streets. And look at the number, 16,000 already completed, over 6,000 halfway through, and over 12,000. Let's combine this number. Which street in Accra can contain us? There's no street. There's no street. And so if that is what government wants to happen, then we will do that. Unless they begin our payment this month or ending of this month.
You had the president of the Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association, Jasper Joka, will still stay a while longer with the issue of allowances because the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, Jephthah Nana Kwame, explains why they are unhappy about the deduction of the allowances following payment within the last 2 weeks.
What the economy is really putting us through. And it's in the same vein that I was saying that 400 cedis as an allowance for teacher training in 2017 was okay. But from 2017, 2018 down to 2023, the economy is never the same. And the value of 400 cedis now, what 400 cedis could do in 2017 is not as it could do in this current year. So imagine 149 cedis being given to the students. It's nothing for us to write home about. Less could it cover. However, we had to really accept it because we were in dire need of the money. But for us to receive 149 cedis for a month, it means even if you were to divide it by 30, you won't even have something like, say, cedis a day to spend, or let me say 20 cedis. This is too much for us.
You had the president of the Teacher Trainee Association of Ghana, Jephthah Nana Kwame.
Now, the General Secretary of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, Abdullah Yakubu, says the association welcomes the statement by the Chief Justice urging the public not to give money to judicial staff. As part of measures to demystify the work of the judiciary, the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, has asked the public never to give money to judicial staff in return for a favorable trial. Speaking to Citi News, the General Secretary of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, Abdullah Yakubu, indicated that the Code of Conduct for the association prohibited the giving of gifts to staff and had zero tolerance for corruption.
Every time we have an opportunity to sensitize staff, we use that opportunity to sensitize them on the code code of conduct of the judicial service. If you look at what happened around courts and even those who interact with judges, it is not just judicial service staff who interact with judges. There are lawyers and police officers who come around. And in fact, there are even imposters who come around courts who are neither court officers or lawyers or police officers. They come and dress in a way to possibly deceive unsuspecting litigants that they agree to assist them, take money in the name of giving it to judges, and then they end up defrauding litigants. So when that statement is made about cautioning the public not to give money to judicial service staff, it's not limited to only staff of the judicial service, but to all those who are part of the justice delivery value chain, i.e. lawyers, police officers, and people who also utilize our service.
Abdullah Yakubu is the General Secretary of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana.
Now, Circuit Court remands 5 of the accused persons in the Cecilia Dapar case. 2 other suspects who are lactating mothers have been granted bail to a tune of 1 million Ghana cedis each, with 3 sureties to be justified. And that's how we end today's edition of the Citi Prime News. But before we leave, a recap of some of the stories we've been bringing you now. Heavy police deployment within the premises of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to prevent a possible invasion of tricycle operators. We also had the Ministry of Education saying has commenced investigation into allegations of extortion by headmaster of Buduatat DA Junior High School in the Central Region, which has resulted in the failure of 2 students to take part in the ongoing BEC. Also, Health Services Workers Union at the Kumasi South Hospital, they are kicking against the posting of the former CEO of the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital to the facility, and minority in Parliament, they have attributed the deteriorating state of public basic schools nationwide to government's non-release of capitation grants for the last 2 years. And also the official vehicle of the Savannah Regional Director of Fisheries Commission it's been snatched at gunpoint in Kumasi. For more news, you can log on to our website, citynewsroom.com. I am Wilma Obobi Sakoman, and I was here with
Charles Owusukumi.
Up next is the afternoon's edition of the Citi Business News. Many thanks for doing the listening, and do have a good day.
Citi 97.3.